Hi, welcome to the Ambient iPad. Let's make some music. This is Jam 71. I'm going to do some Mellotron looping with brass sounds and the Gauss Looper. I'll be using brass sounds from across all the Mellotron machines, the Mark I, the Mark II, the M400, and some Chamberlin examples as well. The signal chain is the Mellotron M4000D Mini. Its master mono analog output goes into a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 interface, which communicates back and forth with the iPad Pro through a USB-C hub that also lets me power the iPad Pro at the same time. So I'll be using a bunch of brass sounds today across all the different Mellotron machines, the Mark I, the Mark II, the M400, a few Chamberlin examples as well, so I'll walk through all of those. I have an instance of 8 Matrix already set up. I've been using this as a scratch pad for Mellotron looping, so there is some stuff on here that I will not be using, but I'll walk through all the effects that I'll be leveraging for this jam. But let's start with just a basic setup here with a little bit of chorus and a little bit of delay and reverb, and I'll walk through the brass sounds. This is 2 brass from the M400, and 4 brass from the Chamberlin, Mark II brass. And I'm just going to run through these really quick. French horn, another French horn, muted brass, muted trombone. We have a lot of muted trombones and trumpets, and non-muted as well. And yes, that takes us to the end of the brass. So I'll be using most of those sounds in the loop, but I will do a couple of solos over the loops as well, and I'll be using the 2 brass from the M400 and the muted brass from the Mark II. Let me walk through the effects. I mean, you've heard the basic setting with the chorus and the reverb and delay. So for chorus, I'm using FAC chorus, which is a great classic kind of 70s, maybe early 80-ish chorus. It does a lot of rack mount stuff, and it does some MXR script pedal things as well. Very cool. All right, we've heard that. Let me switch over to the phaser. Open that up. And I'm using these, they're pretty subtle. I mean, you can hear them, but they're not overpowering. 2 reasons for that. I do want some of the brass sound to come through, but more importantly, as I'm building up the loop, if, for instance, I'm using chorus or the phaser, as I'm building up the loop, it's just going to make the sound a little more dense and messy, which could work out, but for this, given that I've already run through things like this before in the past, I know exactly how it would end up, and it would just be a little too dense. So anyways, let's get into Kajita. Let me go back to the chorus, and I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. As I said, this does both kind of straightforward reverb and delay, but it also does some strange things too. So I'll be using mostly straightforward ones today. I'll be using this for a loop, and then this for solos. However, I'll be increasing the wet a little. So it's got long tails. All right. Oh, and one more. This is another somewhat straight ahead sound. So you can do weird stuff though. It's always cool changing patches like that to see what comes up. So a lot of options. I'm really liking this app. And of course, I'll have Gauss, which I'll go through in a minute. And then we have the last part of the chain is spatializer, just again, because the Mellotron is a mono instrument. And while some of the effects add a little bit of a stereo field, I just like to expand that a teeny bit all the way at the end. All right, let's get into Gauss here. Now let me just demonstrate here with just that bare minimum of effects what that sounds like. turn record off so I can do a couple of things over that, but the loop decay is at 5%, so you're going to hear that slowly decay over time. Let me change this to the phaser, and records off. Go to muted brass. Let me actually now put that off, so now it will not decay while I'm soloing. And then I can punch back in. I can move that back to 5% so it will start to decay again, and then I can hit record and do some stuff over that. I don't know if you heard that or not, but you can hear when I do hit record, there's like a thump. Very annoying. Just adding different parts, and then let's do another solo. So I'll turn record off, bring the loop decay on again, so we're kind of freezing this in time. And then let me change. One thing I did notice is I kept this on that interesting kind of weird reverb delay patch, which now is part of the loop. Actually sounds fine. It's not like it sounds odd or anything. All right, we could solo over it again. So that's a basic explanation of what I'll be working with for this video and this jam, and particularly how the loop decay works. So right now, again, there's no loop decay. Let me bring it back to 5. I love Gauss, but the thumping when the going in and out of recording is really kind of ruining it for me. And you can hear that. It's just going in. Going out isn't a problem. Anyone out there uses Gauss a lot and knows, am I doing something wrong? I'd really appreciate it, because that's kind of what's pushing me back to long delays, because I don't have that. And you can hear it slowly fading in the background. Let me turn that off again. And then you can, after each successive pass, just raise it a little. That slowly brings it down. I'll be a little more dramatic here. So always after that pass, on to the next pass is when the volume. So it's lower. Now for this next one, lower even again. Then you can go all the way like that. And that's it. It'll boom. So decay is nice because you can then just keep building up loop over loop over loop. Let me reset everything, and I'll do the jam. By using the decay feature of the Gauss Looper, you can create these constantly evolving and changing loops. Now, the one downside to Gauss, which unfortunately is kind of ruining it for me, is if I already have an initial loop created, then I turn the recording off, do a solo, and then punch back in to add on to the loop or start a new loop as the old one is fading out. There's an audible thump. Really does kind of ruin the experience for me. I traditionally have used longer delays to do the kind of looping I do because it's very open-ended. I'm not creating a verse and a chorus and going back to old parts. It's more of just creating some evolving ambient soundscape that I can do things over. That thump, sometimes you can hear a lot, sometimes not, but I know it's coming. And if for some reason anyone out there uses Gauss a lot and has encountered this issue and knows how to solve it, I'd really appreciate it, because other than that, it has all the features that I'm really looking for with a looper. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.